Hi, it's Howard here from the Book of Genesis. In this video I'm going to be going through the Mellotron. Now the Mellotron was one of Tony Banks's very important keyboards for getting the famous Genesis sound, and the Mellotron was developed in the 60s. Early users included the Beatles and the Moody Blues. Mike Pinder from the Moody Blues worked for Streetly Electronics for a while, and they were the producers of the Mellotron. So it's a very interesting instrument. You have tape samples. The tapes are on a frame. The tape gets drawn across a tape head which can play the sound, but you only have 7.5 seconds or so of tape before the tape runs out, and then it has to rewind. So that gives a lot of the interesting playing characteristics and sound, because the sound on the tape is not constant. It changes throughout the 7.5 second cycle, and that gives it a lot of the nuances and particular characteristics of the sound. So if we play a bit of Strawberry Fields Forever, you'll hopefully be very familiar with that sound. Here we go. Genesis used that in Can Utility and the Coastliners at the opening, and also they used it in Get 'Em Out by Friday for the flute solo, and also it's used in the Battle of Epping Forest. I'll play a bit of the opening of that. That bit there right at the beginning. So that's the flute sound. Now I have 6 sounds on my Mellotron digital equivalent, which is a Mellotron made by Mannequin Electronics in Germany. I'm very pleased with it. It's been a fantastic addition to my rig. So another of the famous sounds that Genesis used is the string sound, or triple violins, which sounds like this. A little bit of the tune from Nights in White Satin by the Moody Blues. Also, that was used a lot by King Crimson, that sound in the first album, in the Court of the Crimson King, and of course by Genesis in lots of places. It's used in The Fountain of Salmacis, it's used in other tracks off Nursery Crime, like Seven Stones. So there's lots of places that the strings are used. It's used in Cinema Show, combined with choir. So, which brings me to another thing that Tony did, which was he put the ABC knob for the 3 sounds of the Mellotron halfway between A and B, or between B and C, to create a really fat sound for Watcher of the Skies. And the opening of Watcher, the right hand is a strings and brass, and the left hand is a sound called bass accordion. Put together we get this. Which is a lovely, big, powerful sound. A couple of other obscure sounds that Tony used, but not very often, include the cello, which sounds like this. That's used in Dancing Out with the Moonlit Night. And there's another sound he used called brass B, which sounds like this. you might recognise that as the end of Supper's Ready. So Tony really used quite a few of the different tape samples, but in the later Mellotrons he'd have only had 3, which would probably have been the brass B sound, the string sound and the choir sound. The choir sound is used in Afterglow, it's used in Cinema Show, it's used in quite a few places of Genesis, Silent Sorrows on Empty Boats, in The Lamb Lies Down on Broadway, often used with quite a lot of reverb. So let's play a little bit of Afterglow, you'll recognise that. So that's the 888 choir, so that would be 3 choirs recorded 3 times and overdubbed. So that is pretty much all the sounds Tony would have used, and some of the playing techniques we can just mention. He would have had to release notes with this 7.5 second limit on chords that were really long chords that were used on some songs. So I'll try and demonstrate that. If you play a chord, let's play a chord of E. I'll release a note. And you can see if you do that carefully, you can keep the chord going as long as you need to. So I do that in a few pieces that we do, like Can Utility and the Coastliners. If you watch my hands, you'll see me live, you'll see me releasing notes, waiting for them to rewind and pressing them again. That's really interesting, but it gives the full authentic sound that Genesis created. So that's about it. So the Mellotron was a great instrument. It's remained popular, and I think the reason it's remained popular is because of the unique lo-fi quality of the sound, but which gives it all that sort of character, and it's that character of the sound that is so musical.